Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a very interesting day today, and the day seems to be beginning with the IPRs and patents, and it's likely to end up with patents and IPR because we have a couple of more meetings happening after this, around this. So this looks like a good day. Uh, as we all understand, I think as a nation, our Prime Minister has set a very ambitious and aspirational goal to make India among the top innovators in the world. You know, there was a very good uh, session we have had this morning with the secretary at the DPIIT. Good, I think many of us, rather almost all of us were there. So I think it's an action replay of what we have gone through. You asked us to give you some on what really happened there. I think this meeting was primarily called to discuss the regulatory data protection and how it should be implemented in the country. And pharmaceutical industry and agrochemical industry, both of us were called. In the pharmaceutical industry, I think largely they were having some kind of a alignment towards this concept. The concept was agreeable. The finer nuances were to be discussed on, you know, what should be the time, et cetera, when to begin, when to have a sunset clause, etc. For agrochemicals, I think as usual, we are people with a lot of intellect, so we argue a lot. We argued quite a lot. And we have been sent back with an advice to discuss within the industry associations, come to some kind of consensus, and then have another meeting with them so that we move forward. But the notion was very clear that the government would like to move forward on the path of, in the words of the secretary, value addition, moving up the value chain and also becoming a innovation-led economy, as per him. So I think that's what we need to head. So we will come to that. I think some flavor of that you may get here also. But let me welcome a very distinguished panel here. I think, and first of all, welcome Dr. Subhash here, who I think we need to first congratulate you again for assuming the role of Secretary of Central Insecticide Board. Very important decision-making body, and also I think a lot of new policy innovations are expected out of his dynamic leadership. We have known him all through as a great leader, so I think we would continue to look forward to more and more path-breaking innovations coming your way. And then we have experts like Ganesan, who normally are the go-to people for identifying the global reference points. And subsequently, also we have people like Kalyan who have the experience of having worked in pharmaceutical industry as well as in agrochemical industry. And then we have Gayatri ji here, who actually is a practicing IP expert to kind of add that what we call as tadka in in the Punjabi parlance. And we have an entrepreneur who's been rising steadily and growing strongly. So I think with this context, let us begin this session. And I want to start this session with a couple of key observations. One observation is India stands at a very interesting juncture. We have a great opportunity to be a part of a larger, responsible, ethics-based and a compliant partner to the global supply chains. Number two, the FTAs that are being signed, the BTA that is being planned with the US, all of them assume and underwrite that India would continue to be not only TRIPS compliant, but also be compliant to accommodate and promote innovation and incentivize innovators and make sure that nothing comes on their harm way as India moves towards becoming a innovation-led economy. Third, Agrochemical as a category has a tremendous scope for us because, repeatedly you heard Deepak Bhai, you heard everybody here today that, a lot of patents are expiring, so new molecules need to be introduced in the country, which could then be produced back in the country and thereby open up large markets for India-based or India-centric global supply chain, if I may call it, instead of saying local production, because all of us are local. In the globalized world, there's nothing called local. Everything is global. So I think, how does India position itself? That is very critical. So with that, let me come to you, Subhashji. I think he has tremendous experience with the patent. So,
good afternoon, everybody. And thanks for the organizer to give me an opportunity to be among so much of knowledgeable and dedicated and stalwarts of the industry who have been tirelessly working for the betterment of the industry and for the benefit of the farmers. So I take pride to be in your company. Moreover, I should admit in the beginning also that I am not so much of a knowledgeable person as you are. You have vast experience into this industry. I have the least experience in regulatory, in quality. I have the least knowledge and least experience, but even then I am trying to justify my position, my duties religiously and dedicatedly. So let's start whatever I have been asked to go through quickly. I am not going to have any new thing. As I see all knowledgeable face, everybody, they are well versed with the situation, with the subject and with the content also. So my content is Insecticide Act 1968 and relation of the IPR and what are the position to that. So 30-20 years back, India were known only for Taj, Takis and Tikkas. We were not known for technology. Peoples were known for their knowledge. They were imported or the brain drain was there. But later on, the government changed the scenario and from brain drain to it converted into the brain gain. So now we are the hub for the brain gain and for the brain peoples and the technology advancement. We are known in the world for that. So situation changed from brain drain to brain gain. And with this, I will have very fast and quick scenario of Indian overview with respect to the agriculture, how we are moving forward. I take pride in announcing that in the last years, we have produced total agro production of $532 billion of the agro produce, which is highest ever so far. So this goes to the industry. You are also responsible. You have also played very important key factor. Pesticide industry is one of them. Agro industry, that the fertilizer and all, and the farmers and the seed industry, all are responsible and contributed to achieve this target and this milestone. So for the country overview, if you consider and you see, we are more than 1.48 billion population in India as on date, which makes 17.2% of the world population in India, whereas we are having only 156 million hectares of the land, which we can say inching below to the USA. So in one sense of the irrigated land, we can say we are the world, number one in the world. But if we go, it's not so alarming and no so happy situation. We are number one in agriable land. But you see, where we are in the agro export, we are only 1.2% of the world agro export. So there is potential for the increasing of that agro export into the field. So we are going ahead then with this. We are the seventh largest producer, seventh largest country by surface area, and 43% of India geography area is used for agriculture product, and 75% of Indian population resides into the rural area. If we go by the land area, we are having only 2.2% of the world land, whereas we are accommodating 17.2% population of the world. So means less land, more mouth to feed. So then your responsibility increase. You have to put some ways to increase the production. As the earlier speaker was telling, remarkably that we have increased our production, but in total per capita production, per capita income, we are way behind the developed nation. Even in the developing countries also, we are not leading. So situation is giving lot of opportunity for us to increase the production and to compete with the world. So if we go that the earlier the speaker was telling that what are the situation of import of the pesticides, as it was discussed everywhere on all the format, on all the forums, that in the last 2 years it has been remarkably good for the Indian industry. We in direct say, we can say we are the trade surplus country in terms of the pesticide export. So last years also it was more than 28,000 crores trade surplus country. You see the situation, it was 29,520 crores surplus country in 2023. And even it slightly reduced in the 2023-24, but data for that authentic data is not available. It is showing that 28,000 crore surplus country. And if we go by the chemicals in India, Indian chemicals, there are in India approximately whatever I have studied, 80,000 roughly chemicals are produced, imported or used in India, which falls approximately to the value of US $1 million, 170 to 180 billion worth, and it's expected to reach more than $800 billion by 2040. So huge gap and huge potential is there, and whatever we have to do, if I put these chemicals into the all major categories, only 5 major categories are there: bulk chemicals, pharma chemicals, specialty chemical, petrochemicals, and agrochemicals. But if we go by the sharing, so only 2% of total, if I put all chemicals together, only 2% belong to the agrochemical categories, and the majorly is alkali chemicals. And out of these, generic pesticide and India's manufacturing position, what is that? 80% generic pesticides share are there in India for in total agrochemicals. Only 20% are patented molecules are sold, and 80% of generic pesticides are sold, and out of 80%, 65 to 75%, 70% are manufactured by the Indian companies only. So stake is big, opportunity is also very vast. So thus just you have to grab the opportunity, you have to invest into the R&D, and the R&D, now the salubrious atmosphere has arrived. If you are going to invest heavily in R&D, so you are going to reap the benefit of the R&D, and you are bound to expand your business. Atmosphere is salubrious, just you have to jump to the conclusion and come and invest into the R&D. So even though this is an older one, but yesterday I was studying, it's an older one, and if I go by the patented study, yesterday I have seen, I have the with me also, but I cannot control my computer from here. There are 47 molecules as on date patented, whose expiry started after 2026. It's an old one, it's showing 23, 24 also, but total 47 molecules are there which have been patented as on date, and whose expiry start after 26, and their longs to that goes to the 2044. So the fight is long, journey is long, and that the technology have to take the space. You have to come to the alternate, to the, I have shown this one, that's from Phillips McDougall, that's whomsoever in the regulatory affairs, they might be knowing that the generic pesticides, how much big business is there, glyphosate, how much market is there, and these all are big market only for patented, of the patented molecules, those are there. So in Indian country overview, one of the largest producer of pesticide in Asia and fourth largest producer of crop protection chemicals in the world, and we are the second largest exporter in the world after China. But as everybody is saying and listening, second largest seems to sound to be good, but when we comes to the figure, it doesn't look good at all, because difference is so big. If we goes by that percentage and the difference between that, how much big difference is there? It's a very big difference. See how much share and how much market is there in the world of the agrochemicals and where we stand. See, China is capturing 22% of the world agrochemicals business and export, whereas we are lag behind only at 11%. So gap is just double. Everybody knows that they are the stalwart and they are the businessmen, they are sitting here. I have seen in the plant and I have learned that glyphosate 50,000 metric ton capacity annually. So how much means entire single plant can supply to the entire world, only one plant. And what is the capacity of glyphosate in India? You know better than me. So the situation and the destiny is very far away. We have to put lot of efforts into that. So the gap is huge. You have to fill that gap. And that's just we are inching ahead with the USA and the France. And after that, the business is USA is the largest buyer of Indian pesticides. After that, the Brazil. And after that, it goes to the Japan, is the third largest buyer of the Indian agrochemicals. These are the top 5 exporters of the agrochemicals in the world of 2022. So I am going little bit fast, and if we go there to see and that how much trade surplus we are there in 2028, it is approximately 29,000 in 2023-24 and 22-23. It was. I am not believing this data but I have noted it from the DCPC. They showed approximately 60,000 surplus in DCPC data. So, but it is shown on their website, but authenticity seems to be little bit doubtful to me. So, but for the sake of the data I have presented, but 23-24 data is accurate as per my knowledge also. So that has presented. And see, India growth in agrochemicals export. These are the pesticide projection and how much market share they are doing, how much share they are having, and Indian agrochemical trade, this one is there. So needs innovation. In the 2003, I was studying agrochemical statistics in 2003. We were at the 6th place in total chemicals, and China was at 9th place in 2003 in total agrochemical business. Total chemical we put together. But today, we are at the 9th place, and if we put country-wise, the China is the first, capturing 33% of the total chemical business, 33%. And whom so in 2003, they were at the 6th place. And now we are at the 9th place and they are at the 1st place. So we have to jump, we have to put a long jump. We have to invest heavily. So now, as everybody knows that everybody talking about that how much patented and that regulatory data protection, that everybody knows that how much invest it carry one molecule invention from lab to land. Approximately 1 lakh to 1,50,000 molecules are screened, then it's come and filtered to the 1,000 molecules. Then 1,000 filters are filtered for the laboratory test. After that is filtered down to the 100, and then after it's come down to the 10, that's a clinical, preclinical and the biopsy data have been conducted. And after those molecules, it comes to the 1. So it can be said from 1 lakh to 1,50,000 molecules, only 1 molecule reached to the land, and who carry approximately $250 to $280 billion of investment and approximately 10 to 12 years of the research. So you can see it, heavy cost, but situation and business goes like that. So after that, so then I'm coming to the IPR. This was the Indian preview. That's what are the intellectual property rights, IPR, and how that patent works, what it is. So that's intellectual property is a legal concept which refers creation of mind or creation of the innovation. That's common type of intellectual property right include that's copyright, trademark, process patent, design patent, like that. So who stops and granted certain exclusive right to the patentee? And that's what it covers. Legislation covering IPR in India, the Patent Act 1970, the Protection of the Plant Variety Farmers' Right Act 2001. There are only 7 acts who are involved in IPR or cover under IPR. These are the 7 acts which have been shown. So to go a little bit fast because the time is the limitations, but what are the benefit of the patent? You can see that promote investment on research and innovation, prevent thefts of the invention, reduce competition being genuine. And for which and in which category and how that it has been classified, type of patent, vara type of patent, utility patents and design patent and plant patent, and for invention and innovation or improvement, along with that the process patent. In broad category, only these 7 categories are there where the patents are granted. The process and product patent are divided into 2 parts. One is the developed countries follow product patent system, and then another one is that the process patent system is preferred by the developing world. There are 2 systems which are being followed by for the IPR in the world. So limits of the patent, what are the limitations? The patent is valid for a specified period, 15 to 20 years. And another one is that the limitations of space. A patent is valid only in the country of its award and not in the other country. If suppose it is granted in India, unless until it is not an international patent. Base of obtaining the patent, how it's involved into the agrochemical industry. Insect crop, if the crop is costly and it's grown into the entire area or the big area, then the inventor has to invest into that, and they will come into that situation and they will apply for the invent and they will invent some innovations. Cost, if it is the cost, the crop is costly, so then farmers or the innovator will approach them. If it is not costly, so then the people will not approach there. So alternative or effective mortality. If its mortality is not effective, so then the innovator will not go for the patent. So what are the statistics of the Indian pesticides as on date? Approximately 374 molecules are registered as on date. Out of that, formulation 1274 formulations are registered. Single AI 782 molecules are registered. Combination 494 molecules are registered. So out of that, how much insecticide, fungicide, that herbicide plus herbicide and insecticide, that's a bifurcation have been given. And 1 PGR plus fungicide is also registered. And what is the situation? For how many patents have been granted for Indian industry or Indian products into that? Approximately it's an alarming figure. Yesterday I was studying, it took approximately whole day for me. As on date, 227 type the formulations have been patented. Moreover, it's an alarming fact, in the last 1.5 years, all combination product, approximately 95% product which have been approved by the RC, combination product, they all are patented. So it's an alarming fact for the industry. Or for the betterment of the industry, you have to decide. But the situation is that. And moreover, the alarming fact of that, yesterday I was browsing all the website and I was astonished to see approximately 1517 that's application as on date pending with the authorities of the patent. Effective patent in agrochemicals in India, which have been granted as on date, 277 formulations are patented as on date. Out of them, 76 single molecules. Out of that, 201 combination molecule, 12 technicals are registered, the MNC registered, patented 12, and Indian patent are 2. And the total technical is 16 and trend is increasing. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Like I told you, he's an encyclopedia by himself. So thank you so much for putting this entire context and the whole patent state in front of all the stakeholders. I think, as you can see, it's quite a complex issue, but also an issue after you have made this presentation. I think it gives us a good segue into how the Indian industry is going to leverage this scenario. And I think nobody better than Rajesh ji here. So, sir, what do you think? How is the Indian industry going to leverage this large opportunity in a manner, like in his words, ethically and in a most decent manner?
Thank you, sir. When the topic of patent come in, so I thought it's very interesting and good subject because we are talking about innovation, we are talking about R&D, which is the least discussed subject these days. But it's very important. If I talk about my journey in Insecticides India, we started from this company in 2001. First thing we observed was that we are engaged with the old generic products and we are not able to do or bring something new for the farmer. So yes, the journey started with bringing the off-patented generic molecules which were relatively of new age, relatively I'm saying, off-patented of course, that give us the edge in the market, and to all the entire, it is relevant to all the entire industry. So what I mean to say, that yes, the patent regime came in. When patent comes in and the computerization happened, the things start becoming easier for the scientist to understand, to make the products. And we have seen a lot of development happening for manufacturing in India in the last 2 decades at least, where a lot of work has happened and Indian companies have come forward to make a lot of products in the country, and we are also exporting. And it is not only related to the off-patented molecules, even the patented technologies. We have done a lot of good work as an industry and things are developing. But this patent regime is going a long way because in the past it was for the technicals, it was for the processes, and now as Dr. Subhash pointed out, it is going to the mixtures or formulations where you are able to prove the synergy between the 2 products or even 3 products, different type of technologies, you are able to back this patent. And this is something not which is in India. It is again the international practice, prevalent in US, prevalent in Europe, in the entire parts of the world, because if I talk with my Japanese counterparts, there they have one shot solution system. They'll mix 3 or 4 things together, make a product, and that product is given to the farmer so that there is a long-term relief, because spraying continuously after short intervals of time is a very costly affair there. So they would like to use one-shot solutions and do that. So that is the trend which is catching up now, and I don't see because any harm in doing the formulation patents, because there is no other way, because people are not working on the real invention or what we call NCE. A lot of work is not happening in India. I recall 2013 when I got this opportunity to work with a Japanese company. They came to India to invest in our company, but somehow that could not happen because we were already engaged with another Japanese company who was giving us products, and we had a very good fortune with them. So I could not accept that offer. But with the course of discussions and several rounds of discussions, what happened? We realized that the R&D which is being done in Japan is multiple times more expensive than the same R&D which can be carried out in India. Because still, I say at several forums, the manpower cost, which has multiplied in past 25, 30 years, but still it is too low in India in comparison to the developed world. Which means that we have a huge opportunity to do our own innovation, to do the R&D, to make the products, and to take the technologies to the world. So we utilized this opportunity, signed with them in 2013 to work on NCEs. And I'm glad that, yes, we got a good success in finding out some new mode of actions. At least 3 technologies have taken the final shape, and one has come very near to making the application to the CIB for the registration. So I mean to say, the things are not as difficult as we think. Innovation is easy, R&D is easy. You have to have your vision, because if you plan that yes, this is the amount or this is the team where I have to make the investment, and it becomes the regular part of your expense, then yes, it is something which can be carried out. And if we compare ourselves from China, China is making 100 times more expenses in the R&D than what we are doing in India. So that is creating a difference. We as entrepreneurs, we as the important people in the agrochemical industry need to look at it, and if we invest on R&D, definitely a success is going to come, and the patent regime is definitely going to help the industry in moving forward. Thank you.
I think great inputs. Clearly underlining that there's a large opportunity, and people with vision, people with long-term interest in this business can really leverage this entire patent regime to their advantage, not only for Indian market, but for the global market. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Great insights. And you heard it how it can be done on a scratch to a market level. So great case study. So let me just come to Kalyan to you, since you have worked in pharma as well as agrochemicals, and I've been eagerly looking at your views on some of the issues which are right now controversial in the industry. So what would be your views on the patent and regulatory data protection? But I just want you to keep it very short. We are running acutely short of time. So
maybe 5 minutes?
5 minutes will be great, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you have to attend another meeting. As such, am I audible? No. Since morning, a lot of discussions happening on that. Lots of, and the first meeting, when I saw the pharmaceutical people sitting in front of me, so देखिए अभी lunch का time है, so everyone is like hungry. So let me bring some humor. So there was a Hindi film, फिर तेरी कहानी याद आई. So I was thinking of my pharmaceutical past. See, in 1998, 6 pharmaceutical organizations took conscious decision. Ranbaxy, Oakard, Lupin, Cipla, and I don't know, some other company, 6 companies. And they have taken a decision to put money in R&D, research and development. And they came in a big way. And then down the line, IPA has now, I think they have around 26 or 28 members. They will do ethical business, they will put money in R&D, and they will go for patent. When I left the pharmaceutical industry in 2005, by that time they got patent. In 7 years, they got patent 665. It's not a small number. In 2012, I'm in touch with pharmaceutical till now. 2012, it went up to 6,000. In 2024, it became 14,000 patent, right? But in my industry, don't take me otherwise, because last 6 years I'm in this industry. Earlier, I was in some other industry. In my industry, the R&D, research and development has become relax and dream. In my industry, I think we need to concentrate. Some of the organizations, like Rajesh ji is there, PI is there, and like Garda is there, or UPL, they are putting money in R&D, but not all the organizations. And so our dependence on China is more. Now that is one part. Second thing is that, since we are talking about that, see, my association, ACFI, we're supporting RDP, regulatory data protection, from the beginning. Why? Let me explain to you. If I typically look at my agrochemical segment, you might be knowing there are even, Subhash, you are saying 370 molecules been registered. Some of the molecules, they're older than me. I'm 57 years old. Okay, they have become like my big brothers. Even in government or corporate, people retire at the age of 60. There are exceptions like Deepak Bhai is there, Pradeep Bhai is there, and other people are there. They should be there, and Narendra Modi is also there. Okay, but 60 is a standard, like age. Just joking. So we need new molecules. How to get new molecules? As I told in the beginning, with relax and dream, we cannot get new molecule, and it needs hell lot of investment. So there's the opportunity. There are off-patent molecules. Why don't we bring it? But it will incur some cost. But some of the member, if they put money for field trial, validation trial, blah, 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 and then they get registration for the first time in India, it will be copied in next year. So why not to give data protection so that people invest and our farmers, they get new molecules. Otherwise, the old molecules, they are developing resistance. So that's the main thing. So, even in pharma, the larger organization they are not supporting the RDP. Why should they support RDP? And as such, Rajesh ji was poking me there, the bigger pharmaceutical giants, they are laughing, listening to RDP. Yeah, but they have patent, they have molecules. They're bound to laugh for, RDP. And their export is now $36 billion US dollars, which is 600% more than us. But the Indian manufacturer, smaller one, there are 3,000 pharmaceutical manufacturers in the country. I know they are backing RDP. They want RDP. They want to bring molecules in this country. So the debate will continue, sir. We don't have time. Okay. But I think, as the ACFI is supporting RDP, we'll go by that only. Maybe Rajesh ji will be averse to that. We can sort it out across the table. Thank you, sir.
That was a message from the secretary also, that you guys need to sort out within your house. So I think, yeah. So let me get you to another wonderful speaker here. Ganesan ji is here. I have been a very regular follower of what he writes and what he sends across to people. I have learned a lot. So at this opportunity, looking at the larger context of global patents and IPRs, where do you see a big opportunity for India, and how do you think India should go about attempting to leverage that for the Indian companies, whether for Indian operation or for global operations?
Great. Sorry, I think which is the one that was, is this working? Is my voice audible? Okay. Good that I put this question. It's a bit of general question, okay, but I will try to answer to the extent time would permit. If you look at the global GDP, it's close to about 113 trillion. And what is driving it between invention and innovation? It's innovation. It is driven more by innovation than by invention. Now, both coexist. One can say that, look, there cannot be innovation unless there is invention. That's fact. But the innovation is much more, in terms of growth, accelerated. Let us take anything, even TV. The one who invented TV is not the global leader. It's all this part, the Asian part. And in my opinion, it will continue to be so. Innovation. Now, we also looked at, in fact, we're doing a paper on what has made China to be a global leader. It is a strong support that Chinese industry gets from government-funded research institutes. Nothing else. I can drop data. And having found out this, we also filed, personally, I filed lots of RTI to know what is happening in India. I will give only one data and will stop with that because it will develop a strong nausea as to why should it be happening. Heard of CSIR? We all know that, okay. Now, the amount allotted to CSIR laboratories in the past 10 years by Indian government is close to about 50,000 crores. Now, therefore, we sought to know by way of revenue, how much they earn by in terms of revenue by transferring technologies to the industry. Please remember 50,000 crores. Out of that, what they earned in the 10 years is less than 100 crores. This is one example. Second example, then I will come to your question, is IISc, much acclaimed IISc Bangalore, Indian Institute of Science. In the past 10 years, Government of India has spent about 3,500 crores. And how much they earned in terms of revenue by transfer of technology, 1.8 crores. That's it. So for India to be able to compete with other developing, what is that, emerging economies, this has got to be addressed. I'm not getting into some of the scandals involving pesticides. That's a different story altogether. Okay. Personally, we are fighting with ICMR for giving fraudulently, for granting PhDs for fraudulent research involving pesticide residue. That's a different aspect. So for us to be able to compete with other emerging economies, there has to be an absolute marriage and synergy between the private industry and this, and policy has to change. If you look at China's policy, they say that, look, the research by government-funded institutions should benefit the society. It should benefit the economy. This is the fundamental I can share with you. I think I have shared with you some of the WhatsApp. That is terribly missing. Research is done for research sake in India, and it sleeps in the papers. You go through the PhD. It's all thesis available in what is the Shodhganga. You will feel that for most of the PhDs, I'm not saying all, a high school student will produce better project report than the PhDs. You and I are paying for the PhD. Please remember that. 42,000 rupees is the monthly stipend that is being given to PhD students in India. That comes from your tax money. Okay. Now, in order not to go deep into that, what did I say? Now, since morning we've been discussing a lot about patent. I see two different categories. One is, okay, we discussed about pharma. If you look at the latest data, you see a lot of revelation. The latest data of pharmaceutical industry globally is about $1,800 billion. Out of that, 1,100 or close to $1,200 billion is occupied by patent space. It is highly patent, he knows that, okay, highly patent focused industry. It's quite opposite in global pesticide industry. We have about 78 billion is the total market as of now. And if you look at the latest data, out of 78 billion, only 5.33 billion comes from patented pesticides. When you think of global market for pesticides, which country comes to your mind? China. China is not an inventor, they are innovator. Okay, I'll give one latest example, then I will close that. There is a compound called prothioconazole. You must have heard of that. One of the largest selling fungicide. It's an interesting story. The inventor of this compound did not register the compound in China. But Chinese industry and the government did not keep mum. They formed a consortium, saw to it that it is registered, and right now, I think they are one of the largest suppliers of prothioconazole in the world. I just looked at the data. They have as many as 33 companies producing prothioconazole technical in the country. So we have to, in order for us to catch up with the rest of the world, with other leaders, there has to be thorough policy change at the government level. We'll have to look at where we are investing money and what is it the society is getting. Okay, I stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. And
Thank you, Ganesan. I think, like I said, this is pure knowledge flowing your way. So thank you so much for putting it out. I think the time is short, so let me just come back to the real practitioner of the IPR laws. So let me come to Gayatri ji. So Gayatri ji, as practitioner, where do you see this entire thing going in India vis-a-vis our own desire to see India being an innovation-led, science-driven economy, not only an economy, but a global leader? So how do you think from a practitioner's point of view?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the question is very apt. Ultimately, it comes to the practice. You innovate, then you don't know what to do about it, how to do about it. Because when you file patents, especially in agrochemicals, there are 3 more hurdles you face. First is the statutory hurdles, the Indian Patents Act. Secondly, the regulatory authorities. And third is the procedural aspects. And as agrochemical scientists, people running companies in agrochemicals, they face all these 3 hurdles. Now, these hurdles are a bit more, I would say, compared to pharma, and that has been one of the reasons why, compared to pharma, as we have been discussing all through, agrochemical patents still lag behind. One, I would say, is that agrochemical companies themselves, their R&Ds and their scientists are not very much aware of patents. That's number one. As scientists, I have been a scientist myself, I'm a toxicologist. As scientists, we understand what publications are. We generally don't understand what patents are. When R&Ds do research, generally they do review their peer-reviewed journals at all. I don't think so. Most of the scientists, they even know how to search patents, what is already there, what is available. That's number one. So for companies, my suggestion is that there should be regular teaching to the scientists that besides science, now you are in a company, you are in R&D, you are part of that business. So what to work on, what is already known, that's number one. Secondly, now, when you have the patent, so we've been talking so much about, China, so there is a very good book called The Art of War by a Chinese expert called Sun Tzu. So he said that victorious warriors first win, then go to war, which means that strategizing is the most important thing. So you have an invention with you. The main and the most important point is when to file. When to file the patent, then when to file at the regulatory authority so there's no conflict. And then when you file the patent, what should you file immediately? And what data may be required later? So what data may be required later? Because as most of you would be aware, you are actively into IPR or part of that business. You can file a patent application first as a provisional, then within 12 months you can file as a complete application. So the provisional application need not necessarily have all kinds of data, but yes, what kind of data is required? So there the first hurdle that I mentioned, the statutory hurdle, which I think we all should be aware of, is that we have this hurdle when we have a compound. We have this hurdle that it has to be a compound which has an enhanced efficacy of a known compound. Then when we say formulations, which we're talking of, for formulations, it's important that we are able to show a synergistic effect. Then when we are talking of process patents, we face this hurdle, I'm not talking about any sections, but we face this hurdle that it could be a method of agriculture. So you draft the patent, then it is very important, you always saying that, we should have formulation patents, fine, but as a patent attorney, I would still say, your patent application should have a product patent, a formulation patent, and a process patent to balance it. Then we also have this, possibility of, I'll just complete in 2 minutes. Yeah, a possibility of filing divisional applications. So our suggestion is that file divisional applications as much as possible. Divide your application. In the meantime, strategize that now is the time to go to the regulatory authorities, because the problem we face now is because there's no data protection for innovators. The problem is that even where your patent is active, if you file for regulatory authorities and you get the approvals, right, then you have competitors ready, right? So then the cost of litigation comes. Then the third point, which is the most important, which I said is the procedural hurdle, which sometimes is about compulsory licensing. So when you file a patent, you should be ready with this aspect as well, which is that if you don't work the patent, if it's granted, then within 3 years, a competitor can request for a compulsory license on the ground that it has not been worked substantially or it's not available to the public at an adequate cost. So costing is another thing which has to be kept in mind. So, but a balance of all this is positive, And I think so it's a way ahead. So the main thing I would say is that strategy and the time when to file, and then how and what data to be given. Yeah.
So thank you so very much. I think what is coming out very clear is that like you have an invention strategy, you need to have an IPR strategy, and that strategy has to be routed on how are you going to leverage it, how are you going to cost it, and how are you going to protect it or ring fence it, if I may call it. So thank you so very much for the words of wisdom. I think I have run completely out of time, so I had one more round, but we can't have it right now. So thank you so very much for being a very patient audience. We can't take a question also. I hope there's a lunch starting after this, so maybe you can connect with all the speakers and then have. I hope you enjoyed the session, because so much of knowledge absorption in about 25 minutes time is very difficult. But great show, so thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you.